Hi there. I am Rohit Rajgopalan, and I'm part of the business development team at PayrollHero. Today, I will be talking about how to improve your restaurant performance using HR predictive analytics. To begin with, I will be introducing predictive HR analytics, what it is. In the course of this webinar, I will talk about the three benefits of HR analytics, which are optimizing the recruiting process, improving the outlet performance, and gaining sustainable competitive advantage. So let's begin. What is predictive HR analytics? Now, this uses relevant data to solve specific business problems. Okay, not only that, number one, it helps organizations to better manage HR-related costs. And number two, it helps develop a high-performing workforce. Now, this predictive analytics, it covers many techniques like statistics, modeling, data mining, just to name a few. But all of these, the common thing about all of these techniques is that they use current and past data to make predictions about the future. So in a nutshell, it's all about probabilities and potential impact. For example, picture a restaurant that uses predictive models and algorithm for selecting the right people to hire, train for the right roles. Now, predictive HR analytics, it is a very attractive prospect for several reasons. First is the information that you actually require is quite widely available, and you can collect this information and you can process it and work wonders with it, really. This will also help you make data-driven decisions quite easily. To process this vast amount of data, we have all the tools at our disposal. A lot of the workforce analytics software that you guys use these days and that are available in the market these days, they do have, to some extent, some shape, way, or form, the capability to process raw data to give you some meaningful results, and they are quite widely accessible and available, really. This also helps you be more proactive in your hiring. And last but not the least, this will help you understand how to engage with your employees in a much better manner so that your employees will stick around. Now, for example, there is an article that is written by Schultz. Now, she talks about how McDonald's uses analytics. She says McDonald's uses it by obtaining consumer and business data, and it helps measure the restaurant performance, helps them make the right decisions about the processes, layout, and most importantly, staffing of the restaurants. Now, in this manner, the outlets reach their optimum performance levels. That is what we are trying to achieve. So let us see how we can help you improve the talent supply chain of your outlet so that they can reach their optimum performance levels. To begin, you need to understand which hires are the most successful, in what environment they're successful, what sources produce better hires. Like, for example, if you hire through LinkedIn, or if you hire via job boards or job postings, or maybe you just hang a banner out of your restaurant, whatever it is, you need to figure out which is the best way to get the best hires. This will help you build an analytic framework, which is definitely data-driven. Now, by doing this, your restaurant, you can effectively channel the future investment in recruiting, and you will be able to know how much, to a very accurate degree, you can know how much finances to funnel into the recruiting process, so that you don't have an excessive budget or you don't have a very low budget. So broadly speaking, you can use these steps to optimize the talent supply chain. First and the foremost is identifying the relevant areas. And these areas should be increasing the effectiveness of your hiring program. foremost among them is definitely identifying the pivotal roles and digging into each role independently so that you can break it apart and exactly know what you require your candidates or your potential candidates to do. Second is collecting relevant data about these successful hires. Now, once you identify the relevant areas, you should create a hypothesis on why some hires do better than the other. And then when you collect the relevant data, you'll be able to test these hypotheses. Now, it is extremely important that you gather data from your past hires as well, past successful hires as well, so that you get a more holistic picture about why people were doing well in the past, why they're doing well now, and what kind of people will do well in the future. Third is the analysis part. Now, it is very important to understand why the hires that you did take on were successful. What drives the better quality of hires? What motivates these hires to perform the way they do? The environment that they thrive in, and trying to paint a picture like this, it will definitely help you in visualizing this as a whole. Finally, it's implementing these results into actions and being able to create predictive models, maybe algorithms, for recruiting, hiring, and onboarding. So if you see, it's all about creating a predictive model, a predictive set of protocols, if you will, which can be followed by anybody really in your organization, and then it can be used to get the same level of hires every single time. Now, getting hires is not the only solution to improving your outlet performance. I have identified 4 main strategies that will further help to improve your outlet performance. They are cost containment, absenteeism, time monitoring, and workforce management. Let's talk about cost containment. When we talk about cost containment, we usually refer to lost time and overtime strategies to save on cost. Reducing or eliminating the lost time is extremely important because usually lost times can be unauthorized early clock-ins, late clock-outs, can be because of ghost employees, or just simply because of non-productive employees who during a paid shift. Now let's consider this an example. A dining room waiter is scheduled to begin work at 9 a.m., but then clocks in at 8:45, so it's 15 minutes early. After clocking in, this employee goes to her assigned workstation at precisely 9 a.m. Now, in the manager's eyes, the worker is seen as definitely reliable and on time. But when the payroll office gets the attendance data, they will see that the person clocked in 15 minutes early. So they will count that as an early clock-in, not knowing that the person reported to the workstation 15 minutes late. So the payroll office will pay him for 15 minutes, which is of unproductive time, which is an inadvertent overspending within the labor budget. Similarly, employees can also avoid work or clock out well after completing their last task, which is again unproductive work. And this also represents an unanticipated extra spending within the labor budget. Financially speaking, a 15-minute savings for 10 employees per day for a 365-day year at an hourly rate of $8 equals $7,300 in extra payments annually. Now think about this. If you can save those 15 minutes, it's a very big savings for the company. And it's usually not just 15 minutes. Maybe an employee is 2 hours late. Maybe an employee has 2 hours or 1 hour or something like that, OT for that many hours. So that's if 15 minutes is 7,300, sorry, then having 2 hours or 1 hour OT would be astronomically high within the labor budget. Let's move on to the second strategy, which is absenteeism. Absentee data is normally sick leave, sick days, or vacation leaves, and any costs to replace labor in case somebody is absent, where you'll have to call some other labor from another branch to replace a missing person or something like that. Now, these costs may be necessary to avoid loss in productivity. There are several studies which have been conducted, and they suggest that on an average, 36% costs are associated with employees being absent, and which is a substantial amount. Also, other studies have also suggested that 21% of hourly workers admitted to cheating on time records, like, for example, deriving OT pay by clocking in early, clocking out late, buddy punching, things like that, which is, again, extra money that goes out from the company for no reason, for unproductive work. So this goes on to actually prove that it's very important for time monitoring, and time monitoring is actually the key to success of an outlet, one of the keys to success of an outlet, and it definitely prevents overshooting from the labor budget. So this brings us to the next point of time monitoring. As I'm sure all of you managers can definitely verify, that controlling overtime can be especially critical to labor cost containment. Because the restaurant business is unpredictable, overtime cannot always be eliminated. I'm sure you all know that overtime is not something that can be completely done away with. But however, there is a solution for that. A time attendance and scheduling software does provide a way out for you guys, and it provides an option to restrict overtime just to the ones that are pre-approved. It's using a system which would manage overtime, like clock-ins, clock-outs, and everything, and then it would raise a flag when there's an unauthorized overtime by any employee, and then the manager will have to resolve it. And this would obviously mean, since there's a human element involved, it would mean less cheating. All of the above three strategies can be grouped into something called workforce management. Workforce management, it's simply put, workforce management helps ensure that the right person with the right skills is in the right place at the right time. That's workforce planning. By collecting data, and if you're able to store this data at a central location, you as a restaurant manager, restaurant owner, can definitely learn a lot about your workforce issues, your workforce requirements, which is the goal of using a workforce management software, a workforce management analytics software. You need to know what issues you're facing, what requirements you need, and this will enable you as the management to apply fact-based data to labor-related decisions. And this will help your effort to reduce costs, to improve productivity, and obviously enhance profitability. Well, it boils down to that. A large amount of data, you often generate a large amount of data when you're scheduling your workers, you're scheduling requirements, which are obviously needed to coordinate and monitor complex work shifts. And in the F&B, in restaurant industry, there are a lot of work shifts, and nothing is a very simple work shift. And by doing this, you gather a large amount of data. All this data can actually be applied to future labor planning. Like, for example, you can have softwares which tell you on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, for example, you have peak hours, and in those peak hours, you would need 5 people in your outlets to manage your customer influx. So this way you will know that all of these people are required to manage, and you can plan better. So this is future, it's more like future planning, forecasting your HR needs kind of thing. And these are obviously done via algorithms. Being able to transform your workforce data into analytical information definitely will help you gain better insight into what challenges your outlets are facing, what strategies you need, and what solutions work best for each and every single outlet independently. It may be that each outlet may not have the same solution that would work. So it is really important, because each outlet will have its own set of data that you'll be collecting, and you can independently apply strategies and solutions to ensure that each outlet performs to its optimum level. And you can also obviously use analytics to get a better understanding on the overspending due to absenteeism, unplanned overtime, which is time monitoring, and ineffective labor scheduling. Well, workforce management is also very useful in recruitment, and it is often termed as workforce sourcing. Starting with better qualified applicants is the first point, and this ensures a more complete shift coverage in terms of scheduling, in terms of monitoring, and in terms of simply tracking your employees. It is important to analyze the effectiveness of recruiting campaigns, because that way you get to know which campaigns are the best, which campaigns get the best results. Workforce analytics also mainly focuses on the relationship between your employees' talent, how good your employees are, and the business success. So if your employees are really talented and they're right fit for your outlet, for your business, for your restaurant, then your restaurant is a complete success, because they will ensure that it reaches success. So in a sense, this helps in streamlining your complex restaurant operations to ensure customer satisfaction. Now, this is important. Customer satisfaction is the key. Now, when you run a restaurant, you want customer satisfaction, because that is a direct measure of how successful your restaurant outlet is. If your customers are happy, then your outlet performs well, which automatically leads to a very high job satisfaction for your employees and for you at the lowest possible cost. There are two distinct benefits, as we've highlighted. So to recap, there are two distinct benefits of a software like this. It improves customer service through satisfactory staffing levels. And secondly, it eliminates non-critical overtime expenses. Now, this is improving your outlet performance. This should obviously result in something more for your, more broadly speaking, like gaining sustainable competitive advantage for your company, for your restaurants, all of your outlets put together as a whole. So that's going to be my next point on gaining competitive advantage. So by improving your selection criteria, which is basically optimizing the talent supply chain, this is exactly what we spoke about earlier, optimizing your talent supply chain. And we spoke about points on how you can optimize your talent supply chain. It is knowing the right employee to hire at the right time for the right place. This will help you. This is one of the parts in helping you gain competitive advantage, is to have the right set of people to help you gain competitive advantage. I remember a quote from Steve Jobs. He said, I don't hire smart people to tell me what to do, to tell them what to do, but I hire smart people so that they can tell me what to do. That's, in a sense, that's what you want to do. You want to be able to let your employees, you're hiring the right employees so that they can take the restaurant and really run with it. Second is monitoring your employee performance. It also helps a lot, which is performance management. It also helps a lot in increasing the outlet performance. So like employees performing to their best capabilities will, again, ensure a high level of customer satisfaction. So it all boils down to customer satisfaction. This is also, this will also definitely help in, this is because they will feel accountable for their actions, that they will feel that they need to, they will automatically perform better. And this directly leads to a better outlet performance. Employee opinion surveys are equally important to understand what your employees think of various aspects about your company. Now, it may be about anything, really. It may be about a process or processes, or about the company itself, or about a manager, a set of people, anything like that. This is also called internal value co-creation. Simply put, you create a value for your employees, and in turn, your employees create value for you. It's like a give and take situation, a symbiotic relationship with your employees. And this always leads to a very high level of employee satisfaction, because you tend to involve your employees and consider them as a part of your company rather than treating them as just employees. And which is, it's always good to engage in employee engagement. Always helps to, because they are the frontline workers. They will be able to tell you what works and what doesn't work. Now, all of this information that you gather from employee opinion surveys, performance management, selection criteria, everything, all of this should be tracked, and algorithms should definitely be worked out so that you can see what affects your outlet performance, and you can tweak and make sure that the effects on your performance are positive and they keep your outlet from growing, and they keep your outlet growing. Sorry. Leadership development is also, it's very important, as all of you may agree, definitely will agree, that leadership development is a very important thing as well. As a manager or a potential manager, it's a very essential part. Training managers to become better leaders, it's a very important and integral part of leadership development. Feedback should be taken on managers, on potential managers by the employees, and this can be used to create an ideal hiring profile, which can then help restaurants in hiring the right employees as managers as well, not just as floor staff, not just as the restaurant crew, but also as the managers. The same thing can be used. So how does predictive HR analytics really help? That was about HR predictive analytics and how you can improve your outlet performance, a broad overview on that. To recap very briefly, most importantly, predictive HR analytics helps you make data-driven decisions. This helps you to hire proactively, hire the right people, and be proactive in your hiring. It helps you engage with your employees and lets you understand what your employees think of various things about your company, about your people, about the environment in your company. And it helps you gain a lot of insight, again, into the issues and requirements of your workforce, of your company, and generally what works and what doesn't work to get the outlet to perform. It will also help you in forecasting your HR needs, since you'll be making data-driven decisions. And last but not the least, you will reach your goal of a higher profitability and eventually a higher market value. That is, now, when we talk about HR predictive analytics, everybody, when they're in a business, they want to achieve a higher profitability. That's why we're in business. And achieving higher profitability, we want to achieve a market value as well, so that we can keep that profitability going, and so that we can have that sustainable competitive advantage. It's all about sustainable competitive advantage, which is higher profitability and higher market value, so that we can keep that thing going, so that we're always on the top, and we're always the top runners, the forerunners. And HR predictive analytics is one of the things that will definitely help you in doing that. The main point to take away from this webinar is that HR predictive analytics is a red ocean strategy. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for listening. We now have a 15-minute Q&A session. Please click on the Q&A button to ask any questions, and I shall definitely try my best to answer them. Hi, Arjun. So how to handle abusive employees? Now, when you say abusive employees, the thing to understand is, why are the employees being abusive? Is it because of they're unhappy? Clearly, they're unhappy in their job. Maybe they're not the right fit for the job. Maybe they're not happy in their job, or maybe they're just looking for something different. It all comes down to sitting down with the employees and really understanding what can be done to better their experience, and how it can help. So It's like employees are your asset; they are your resource. So you need to be able to help them and sit down with them, understand how you can make it a better experience for them to work in your company. It's all about being vocal, being able to talk and understand. That's employee value co-creation, internal value co-creation that I spoke about earlier. Um, so that's one of the things that can be done, is trying to understand why they're abusive and why they're not happy with their current job. I hope I was able to answer your question adequately. Please feel free to ask any more questions, and I would be glad to answer them to the best I can, really. Thanks for your question, Arjun. So POS system is, I'm sure you know, it's mainly a point of sale system. So immediately when you start the business, it would help you to track sales. And from the beginning, if you have data to point you in the right direction, it would help you to know where you're going. So that, because it's always good to collect data right from the beginning, so that you will have the whole history of data when you want to analyze it. And even from the beginning, you can analyze month on month, maybe week on week, maybe fortnightly. You can analyze how your business is doing, how well it is doing based on sales. So since it collects all the sales data, you will be able to see how well it is doing. And also, it also, since your employees would maybe clocking in and clocking out using the POS systems, it to an extent, it also helps you in monitoring time and eventually cost containment as well. I hope that answers your question. Hi, Schnell. Thank you for your question. So HR analytics can be established, can be used to establish a healthy competition amongst employees. For example, you can have data around attendance, where you're showing how your employees are performing, what their attendance records are, like are they always late, are they always early, and this will, so you can have like an analytics around your company average attendance, and you can have analytics around the employees' attendance, and then they can compare to see how they're performing. So this will be kind of an incentive for the employees to see, maybe they're always late and they need to pull up their socks, so that will help them realize that, okay, so this is not good that I'm always late. And also having bonuses around attendance can be one of the another things to establish a competition among your employees. So saying that, okay, if you're early 3 times in a month, then we will give you $50 or something like that. This will ensure that your employees are always competing against each other, but not in a way where it's kill or be killed kind of thing. I hope that answered your question. So Arjun, your potential incentives for your employees can be, as I answered Chanel before, it can be attendance related incentives. Maybe it can be sales related incentives. So if they are able to sell a certain kind of beer, or if they can come up with creative ways of selling some product, or maybe creative ways of getting more customers into your restaurant. You can have probably incentives on creativity, where, for example, there's one restaurant here where they have Sake Mondays, where it's all completely $5 chicken karages and $3 salmon sashimi. So some things like this, where there are a lot of people coming to the restaurant just for the happy hours because it's so cheap. So if your employees can come up with something so good where it drives a lot of customers in, you can probably have incentives on creativity, on attendance, on sales. You can probably also have incentives on meals. So if your employees work X number of hours, they get X dollars for meal allowance. Say if they work 2 hours every day, they earn $7 meal allowance. So this kind of helps them to work more, because they see an incentive at the light at the end of the tunnel, more than their hourly wage, they see that, okay, I can earn my food and I can get free food, something like that. I hope that was helpful. Now we're at the end of the webinar. Thank you all for attending this PayrollHero webinar on improving restaurant and restaurant outlet performance using HR analytics. This webinar will be on PayrollHero YouTube channel for your reference as well. I hope you enjoyed watching this webinar as much as I enjoyed presenting it to you. For any queries, please feel free to contact me via email or Skype, and I'd get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you all, and see you soon.